Hello! Back again with another Hardcore Nuzlocke. This time it's a FireRed Nuzlocke. I'm not as nervous as before, the last time around went pretty good. So let's go over the rules one more time. Number 1, any Pokemon that faints must be permabox. Number 2, I can only catch the first wild Pokemon encountered in each area. Number 3, I can't use any items during battles. Number 4, I can't overlevel, and I have to set the battle mode to set. And now for the starters. If the last digit of the trainer ID number is 1 to 3, I can only use the grass type. 4 to 6, fire type. 7 to 9, water type. And if it's 0, I can have a free choice. While preparing for this run, I learned from my mistakes over at the last Hardcore Nuzlocke and swore to be more careful during grinding so that no unnecessary deaths will occur. Now, after confirming the last number of our trainer ID, we found ourselves stopped by Professor Oak while venturing out to the wild. We then were pulled into his lab and were forced to pick a starter. Having a 4 for the last digit of our trainer ID means that we have to pick Charmander, which was named Hot Boy. After finishing up the first rival battle and delivering Professor Oak's parcel, this Nuzlocke round finally began. The first encounter I got was a Rattata, which I met in Route 1. He was caught easily and was nicknamed Teeth Boy. You can kinda see what all the nicknames are going to be at this point. I then headed to Route 22 to catch another Pokemon, but unfortunately met a duplicate Rattata. I kid you not, my luck was so bad that this happened most of the time throughout the Nuzlocke. After killing the dupe Rattata, Hot Boy and Teeth Boy finished off the second rival fight with ease. The next non-dupe encounter was over at Viridian Forest, a Kakuna. After a few failed balls, I managed to catch it and named it Bug Boy. I then painfully grinded it until he was able to evolve into a Beedrill. It was then time to face the first gym leader, Brock. After looking through my team, I had no answer for Brock's Rock-type Pokemon except for Hot Boy's Metal Claw. So I decided to just go for it and face Brock. If I had to restart the run here, it honestly wouldn't be the most painful thing. Hot Boy took care of Geodude after some Metal Claws, then the Onix came out. I switched to Bug Boy next, but unfortunately he really couldn't put a dent in Onix's HP. He passed on without contributing anything to the team, and I sent Hot Boy back out, who got taken out with one Rock Tomb. Great start for the run. Teeth Boy then had to come out and take matters into his own hands, or teeth, I guess, against the giant rock snake thing. After spamming Hyper Fangs and surviving on 1 HP, Teeth Boy pulled a miracle and saved the run thus far. I considered just restarting the run right here, but I figured I can pull through and still make it work. So, east of Pewter City, I caught a Spearow and named it Bird Boy. Adding a cannon fodder to the team, I caught a Zubat in Mount Moon. Ever since then, he would be named Bat Boy. Before the third rival fight, Teeth Boy had evolved into Eradicate. During the battle, he hyperfanged the Pidgeotto and Rattata to death, while Bat Boy took care of the rival's Abra with ease. Bird Boy evolved into a Fearow during the Nugget Bridge, and we found ourselves in Oddish west of it. Smelly Boy, welcome to the team. With Smelly Boy's evolution into a Gloom, I went ahead and challenged Misty. I thought I was going to have some troubles here with Misty's Starmie, but Smelly Boy took it like a champ and absorbed his way to victory. Second gym conquered with much less troubles than the first. Onwards we go. North of Vermilion City, I encountered a Pidgey, which I happily welcomed to the team. Gal is now with us. A short grinding session resulted in her evolution to a Pidgeotto. At this point, I'll take any Pokemon that I can make up for the early losses. I got the Old Rod in Vermilion and fished up a Magikarp, which was then named Fishgal. East of Vermilion, I caught Snack Boy and went to Diglett's cave to catch Dig Boy. Welcome to the team, guys. After some long and hard grinding, Fishgal finally evolved to a Gyarados. Somehow, the run is looking much better right now. Over at the SSN, Fishgal and Smelly Boy successfully fended off our rival's team for the fourth rival fight. We then had some intimate rub-rub session with an old man. Sure. Over at Lieutenant Surge's gym, Dig Boy was our saving grace. With a combination of Dig and Magnitude, he really had no problems taking out the Lieutenant's team, apart from being paralyzed. Things were really looking up. After the fight, he would then evolve into a Dugtrio. No hair, this one. Just above Rock Tunnel, at the grass patch, I caught a Voltorb and named it Ball Boy. The first encounter inside of Rock Tunnel was a Mankey, so she was caught and named Monkey Gal. In hindsight, I should have just named her Monkey. Because, Monkey. With nothing really happening at Lavender Town, I went to the Kanto at Celadon and picked myself up an Eevee. He was named Boy for some reason, because at this point I couldn't decide what to evolve him into. After some thought, I decided to evolve him into a Jolteon, so I needed a good move to start him off with. Because I already used Shockwave on Ball Boy, I had to spend hours on the game corner trying to rack up credit to get the Thunderbolt technical machine from their price list. I picked up some coins from the floor to start myself off, and I followed Charizard Dude's advice from Super Cheats and got myself some nice jackpots. I finally won the hard-earned Thunderbolt move and evolved Boy into a Jolteon. Over at Erica's gym, both Bird Boy and Bird Gal clean house. I don't think this gym ever really provided anyone with a decent challenge. After getting the Sylph Scope, my team and I went up the Pokemon Tower where we met our rival again for our 5th fight. Fishgal started off and took care of the Pidgeotto and Growlithe with not much trouble. Bird Boy then was switched in to take out his Execute and Kadabra. Came his Water Starter. Boy came in for the type advantage and killed it in one go. After being defeated, he would then indeed smell me later. With the Pokeflute in our hands, we can finally progress with the game. West of Celadon, I woke the sleeping Snorlax and captured it after a relatively long battle. Biggie Gal was then named and she would join my team. Upon arrival in Fuchsia City, I caught a Doduo and named it No Fly Boy. I would then make a quick trip to Saffron City to dominate the fighting gym and steal myself a Hitmonchan, thusly named Punch Boy. After giving it some thought, I decided to evolve Smelly Boy into a Vileplume. Then the next rival fight. Somehow I remembered this fight to be much tougher than it was in this run, maybe because I only remember this fight from when I was still in grade school. In any case, I led with Biggie Gal, which body slammed his Pidgeot twice to the bird's fall, then switched into Fishy Gal for his Growlithe. She would take it out with a Twister after the first Water Pulse nearly took it out. I switched in Bird Boy for his Execute, which was then taken out with one Drill Peck. Bird Boy tried for a bit with the Alakazam, but Biggie Gal came in again and took it out with a Body Slam. Boy then closed the show with a Thunderbolt. Silphco's Giovanni wasn't that much of a challenge either. Fishy Gal and Biggie Gal clean house. Over at Koga's gym, I led with Boy for Koga's Coughing. Boy's Thunderbolt took it out in one go, then I switched in for Dig Boy for Koga's Mug. After missing the first magnitude because of Koga spamming Minimize, Dig Boy managed to pull off a magnitude 10 and brought down the big slime in one hit. Koga's Coughing has Levitate, so I switched Biggie Gal in and used Body Slam to take the poison type out. When it was time for the Wheezing, Biggie Gal managed to tank a lot of hits while dealing some in return, but it got a bit too risky. So I switched in Fish Gal at the end and took out the Wheezing with a Water Pulse. 5th badge done and dusted. Now it was time for Sabrina, the Psychic Gym. Again, I remember this gym to be a lot harder, but maybe it was because I didn't really take the time to grind before gyms when I was younger. I prepared a few battle plans for this fight, but ultimately I decided to lead with Bird Boy, thinking Sabrina's team would be a bit weaker against physical moves. Bird Boy took out the Kadabra with one Drill Peck, also the Mr. Mime, and the Venomoth, and the Alakazam, you guessed it, one hit. After a shit start, things are just cruising by. At the grass patch south of Pallet Town, I caught a Tangela, which was now named Curly Gal. At Cinnabar Island, I went to the research center and revived the dome fossil I got at Mount Moon. Old Boy was now back in action after centuries of sleep. I switched out Fishy Gal for Blue Boy for the team and headed off to face Blaine. Nothing much to say here really. Yeah. Outside of the Cinnabar gym, Bill found me and invited me to one island. He would then send me off on an errand, and of course we somehow ended up being the local hero over at 3 Island. And we would also fetch a little girl on the brink of being consumed by a rapist Pokemon, I guess. Throughout the whole island fiasco, the only non-dupe encounter was a Ponyta over at Kinderpath. So welcome, Horsey Gal. After yet another lengthy grinding session, Old Boy finally managed to evolve into a Kabutops. Giovanni was, I don't know, also underwhelming. I don't remember him being an extremely challenging fight, but I also don't remember him to be such a pushover. Blue Boy had a really comfortable battle here, one-shotting every member of Giovanni's team. With this battle done, we have all 8 of the gym badges required to qualify to face the Indigo League's Elite Four. But before that, we have to face our rival for the last time. I sent out Blue Boy first again because of the type advantage, and Blue Boy had another massive fight. He took out 5 Pokemon from the rival's team, mostly one-shotting them. Alakazam was the exception, being able to tank the Surf hit. The Psychic type was then taken out nonetheless by a Hydro Pump. When Blastoise was sent out, I switched to Boy, who was able to take the turtle out with a Thunderbolt. Our rival would then smell us again before exiting the scene. Before the Elite Four, I decided to switch Smelly Boy for Horsey Gal, who evolved into a Rapidash during the last grinding session. And so here was my team ready for the Elite Four. Also, this run took way too long. Not longer than the Emerald 1, but still pretty long. First up was Lorelei, the Ice-type Elite Four trainer. I led with Boy, and I have to say, this fight was really clean, and I mean really clean. Boy managed to one-shot Lorelei's Pokemon one after another. First was the Dugong, then the Cloyster, then the Slowbro, and the Lapras. When the Jinx came out, Boy pulled off a fantastic pin missile turn and ended it right there. Loving this boy. Next was Bruno, the Rock and Fighting type specialist. Old Boy was up first in anticipation for his Onix, which got taken out in one shot. So was the next Onix, who was 3 levels higher. Then the Hitmonchan. Old Boy was able to take the Hitmonchan's HP down to a red sliver with a Rock Tomb and a Slash, but unfortunately got damaged pretty badly. I had to switch to Bird Boy, who was able to tank a hit and dish out a Drill Peck to take out the Hitmonchan. With a Machamp, Bird Boy was able to take down its health to orange with a Fly, before knocking it out with a Drill Peck. Bird Boy would then tank a Mega Kick from the Hitmonlee before successfully one-shotting it. So far the game plan was working just fine. Next up was Agatha. Before we proceed, let the record know that because of my mistakes in my previous Nuzlocke, I was preparing for the Elite Four way more than I did previously. I looked at their Bulbapedia pages so many times for hours just trying to assemble a game plan that was bulletproof. So I thought I was ready. I led with Biggie, with the intentions of facing Agatha's Gengar with an Earthquake. But somehow I didn't notice that this Gengar has Levitate. So the Earthquake was a failure, and the Ice Beam didn't do too much. I switched to Blue Boy, who was able to do some damage with Surf, but couldn't finish the job because of the poison the Gengar inflicted. Horsey Gale had to come out and finish the job with a Flamethrower. When the Golbat was out, I switched to my Boy. Boy successfully took out the Golbat with 1 Thunderbolt, being awesome as usual. He then took out the Arbok with 2 Thunderbolts. That's my boy. The higher level Gengar then came out, and Boy managed to hit 1 last Thunderbolt before being poisoned and taken down to red health. I didn't want to take any chances at this point and switched to Bird Boy. Bird Boy managed to sweep the last 2 Pokemon with 2 Drill Pecks. Agatha was done, arguably the toughest match thus far ever since Brock. But that's also because I didn't read the Gengar has Levitate apparently. So that's my bad. Time for Lance. I wasn't too worried for Lance, but I did have trouble picking out who my first Pokemon was going to be. I finally opted with Old Boy. Old Boy missed with his first Rock Tomb, but then hit with the second one, which fortunately did a good chunk of damage to Lance's Gyarados. Old Boy then finished it off with a Slash. He would then hit Lance's Dragonair with a Blizzard, which took down the Dragonair's health to orange. He then finished it off with a Slash again. For the next Dragonair, Old Boy was able to hit 1 last Blizzard before having to be switched out. Biggie made her second appearance in the Elite Four, downing the Dragonair with an Ice Beam. Biggie then would do the same for the Dragonite, taking it out in 1 shot because of a nice critical hit. She would then have to tank a couple of hits from Lance's Aerodactyl while dishing out Ice Beams. For some reason, Lance was using a lot of healing items at this fight just to delay his defeat. But after beating Lance, he told us to face the real champ. Turns out the real champion was our rival. Who would have guessed? He led with Pidgeot as usual, while I led with Blue Boy again. Blue Boy one-shotted the Pidgeot with an Ice Beam, making easy work of the bird Pokemon. Same goes with his Rhydon, which was also taken out with an Ice Beam. Then his Exeggutor came out, who tanked an Ice Beam and managed to land a Giga Drain on Blue Boy. The health regen from the Giga Drain took the Exeggutor's health to orange, and Blue Boy Ice Beamed him before any healing items could be used. The champ would then send out his Alakazam, and I switched to Biggie. The Psychic type landed 2 Psychics before being taken out in 1 go with a heavy body slam. His Arcanine then came out and lowered Biggie's attack, so her Earthquake didn't do too much of a damage to it. I switched to Old Boy, who did his best and finally took care of the Arcanine with multiple serves. Old Boy, who got burned during the battle, was switched out for Boy by the time Blastoise was on the field. The Blastoise survived Boy's Thunderbolt with 1 HP after getting a bite in. After the Blastoise pulled a Rain Dance, I knew it was over. The Blastoise might have survived Boy's Thunderbolt, but it definitely wouldn't have survived Boy's Thunder. Who cannot miss with a Rain Dance on? With this, the champ is down and out. I'm the new champion now, losing no member of my team during the championship run. This run managed to be way easier than the Emerald one. despite me losing 2 very early on in the game, and one of it was going to be a very valuable asset to the team. Even with all that considered, I really enjoyed this run, despite the long grinding time as usual, which was made a lot easier by the VS Seeker. I enjoyed using Pokemon that I wouldn't normally use, and figuring out which moves would suit the next opponent best. I could still definitely use some work with EV training and held item placements like using berries and such, but I guess that goes over practice. With this run done, I of course had to rename the MVP of the Elite Four, Boy, to my boy. He deserves it. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell. I'll be putting out more contents like this. Thank you for watching.